Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. Here, there's a bunch of mega fans of Brandon Sanderson bringing you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions on Brandon's work. I'm Eric, and joining me today, back from a untimely, unable to record. That was a sentence. Good job, Eric. Is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter, and I would like to formally rebuke the Stormfather for ruining my perfect attendance record.
That's true. The
For Shardcast.
Literally, the Stormfather did not want you on that podcast.
Yeah. Like 5 minutes before we're supposed to start recording, power goes out.
It was really funny.
Seriously.
I mean, it wasn't funny because Ben and I, we were just hanging out being, should we wait? Turns out your power didn't come back for like 2 days.
Nope.
Great. Also joining me is someone who is now back in his home country, Ben.
Hello, guys. I'm Overlord Jebus, and it is so nice to be back in the UK now. Other than the fact I flew back in like 12 hours ago, so I'm pretty jet lagged. But I think it'll be fine.
It's entertainment.
Yes.
Are you enjoying your British tea again?
Oh, it's so nice being back. Like, your guys' water tastes weird, and like, I had to microwave my mug of water because the hotel didn't give me a kettle, and it was awful, but it's...
No, you only get coffee things here. And I'll have you know, Ben, as we know, everyone in the UK is very solemn, you know. But
yes, obvious.
Basically, I'm sorry, we don't treat our water with the tears of sadness that you just privately shed in the UK. Like that,
yes,
we don't do that in America.
No,
we just put fluoride in it, except in some places that doesn't have fluoride. But Seattle water's fine, though. Whatever. Also,
I just tasted weird. Anyway.
Well, you're just used to the tears of sadness. That's my story. I'm sticking with
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Also returning, back from a while, is Matt.
Hey, guys. It's me.
Hey, Matt.
You're supposed to say I'm Comatose.
Comatose on the forums.
Comatose.
Comatose, that's right. Which was totally an intentional part on mine in choosing that nickname.
Not at all. And I am Chaos. This week, we are going to be much more on task than last week. We kind of... Brandon is not posting on Reddit right now of really important things, so we're good.
As far as we're aware.
Chaos is keeping his intent under control this week.
The funny thing is that I'm
Is that a capital I intent?
No, never. We're going to do a podcast about that. No one knows what we're talking about. When you're talking about a shard intent, make sure it's a lowercase I, because capital I intent is something else. In the Cosmere. So, What we're going to do, we are going to continue talking about Emerald City Comic-Con, Words of Brandon, and we're also going to talk about at least a few Words of Brandon from the recent Orem signing. When there's signings, we might just like do one episode a month. We're not going to like overload it every month, but last week we had a lot of stuff to talk about, and this week we still have a lot of stuff to talk about, and there's definitely some very interesting things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, people might worry that we're running out of content to make, which is definitely not the case.
I am very terrified 50 podcasts from now when we're in like the drought, you know, before we get to Lost Metal. Like I'm worried for weekly podcasts. So if we have to do bi-weekly, we might do that, guys. But we do have a lot of podcasts planned, so that's not going to be anytime soon.
Yes.
I'm sure there's some back pocket stuff we can pull out for that.
That just means we gotta like discuss, hey, let's talk about Elantris today. Hey.
Yeah.
Which, like, I am always down for.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about this really minor thing that you forgot about 5 years ago. Oh, great, cool. So let's just get started. Ian, why don't you read this one?
Okay. So, questioner asks, Raise's Basement Emporium, which is an awesome term for that, is that more of a trophy room or a in case of emergencies room, or a bank vault, or a weapons vault, or both? So yes, which woefully unhelpful, but then he goes on. I mean, he can't use the ether, right? He can't use the ether. He doesn't have an ether. But the sand does stuff. So a handful of sand is a really useful amount of sand to have if you're not a sand master, because sand reacts to investiture. So if you let it fade and you take it somewhere, as soon as investiture goes kinetic, it will turn white again. So you will be able to use it to tell who's using It works just like a speaker, like bronze pulses. So having sand around is really good. If you can keep the little beasties that are growing on the sand around, they will react to basically the investiture equivalent of radiation, so that's handy.
And that's what Hoyd was doing, right?
Right, yeah, same principle.
When how he was able to detect Shallan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so one thing that I hate about this WoB is Brandon talks about investiture going kinetic, because I don't like the term kinetic investiture, and also
you gotta differentiate it from innate investiture. Like, that's not the same thing.
But then,
like most people in the Cosmere have innate investiture, and that's not going to make the sand go white. So I think it's a perfectly reasonable term when there's actually like this realmatic transition, right?
Yeah.
And so
it's not necessarily like realmatic transition. Like, it's investiture that is actively doing something, rather than just sitting around.
See, because the only time we'd ever seen it referenced before was when it came to like pushing and pulling, wasn't it? And so like that kind of.
No, it's like any like magic system. Like, it's all out.
He's used that word. It was really more. He needed to make that word because we're like, what's breath? How does what does that mean, right? And that's innate investiture. Right?
I think I recall it coming up in stuff he said when people ask questions about like what seekers can sense. That comes up because we know seekers can sense more than just allomancy with proper training, but they can't sense everything.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Basically, allomancy detects kinetic investiture.
Yeah. But then the other thing was that Shallan's illusions were supposed to be slightly more sneaky than most uses of investiture. But apparently the sand still detects that. So
it's more.
That was interesting.
It might just be like a more efficient detection mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and I haven't. Yeah.
If the sand was lashed, maybe that like really makes that change really quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and imagine those pulses pulsing out. Maybe those pulses would like go for a long way, whereas the sand would need to be really close to the illusions, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like it could just be as simple as that.
But it was able to detect at least some direction, because when Hoyd's sand, it was black on one side still and white on the other.
Right. And it was the side that was exposed to the illusion,
Yeah.
Right.
The white side was exposed to, was facing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do find it very funny.
The second thing,
Yes, no, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The first sentence he has, where he says, okay, so he can't use the ether. He can't use the ether. He doesn't have an ether. And I thought we were pretty sure he had an ether. And the people who use ethers are not called ethers. So I'm not quite sure what he meant by that.
Okay. What I think he might be saying is like, he might possess an ether, but he does not have an ether attached to him. Like, he has a dead ether, like, basically.
Okay,
feel free to go to 17shard.com and go request Ether of Night. I
think I need to do that because I have no idea what ether is.
It's a good story. It just doesn't feel like a Brandon story.
Yeah.
Okay,
basically, ethers would attach to people. So, like, though, like, he had that cloth that has an ether in it, that doesn't mean he can, like, use it, right? In the same way, I would say.
Yeah.
Although, apparently, Mem can get ether out of pants.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So that confused me, because then when he said that, I was like, oh, does he just get his dead ether out then to show people, and then he accidentally dropped it on his pants? And like,
entirely probably.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with Ether of Night, it's really not clear how much is canonical, right? So who knows?
We do know that some version of that story, like, ethers are canon to the Cosmere.
Clearly,
obviously.
Yeah.
But
and so it'll be a matter of how much he adapts it before he canonizes everything.
Yeah. Yep. Because the shards have to change entirely, because Brandon pretty much ripped them out, changed them a little, and added them to Mistborn. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, Matt, why don't you read this next one?
Sure, this one's exciting.
It is.
And it's lots of fans have been going over this one. So,
that's
are
true.
Both of Kaladin's maternal grandparents dark eyes? No. Good question. I think you're the first one to pull that out of me. There's one question, or two questions, in the signing line that I know are driving your brains crazy, that are not as clear-cut in my answers as you might assume they are. One is about Kaladin's mother.
Now, that second bit was actually 2 hours later in the recording.
Yeah.
So, that's...
But, yeah.
I think he...
Yeah, there's been a lot of theorizing going on about Hesina. I didn't really know where those theories came from exactly, but I think just because
she always was she married down to Liren.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Brennan has said that she married far beneath her.
Right. So
yeah.
That's kind of
and
where
she's also
coming from.
A lot more prim and proper than you'd expect from a Dark Eyes. She knows a lot about the Light Eyes world. So she names her kids Light Eyes names. It's
Yeah.
So it's good that we now know there is something going on there.
Yeah, she married far beneath her, but Kaladin and Liren are pretty high ranked for Dark Eyes, so it's as a result, it's
how do you get higher than that?
Bonda Spren, easy.
Well, and another hint about that is that Kaladin is high ranked enough that he could potentially marry Laral. So if
yes, that's true.
Kaladin is highly ranked enough, that means his father would be of a similar.
Yeah, and they do mention that Liren meeting her parents did not go over well.
That's right.
At all.
Ooh,
that's right.
When was that mentioned?
It's in Way of Kings somewhere during Kaladin's flashbacks.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
It's been a while.
It's something about Liren references, and it was Hesina is well, let's hope that'll never happen.
Oh yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah, that's right.
She's
that's right.
Before I did find, if we want, I found the part about Hesina's parents. I'm not sure if we want the exact wording on that, or if we're.
Oh, go for it.
Do you think?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah, sure. Let's hear it.
So Hesina says, "We shall see soon enough." Hesina said, glancing at Cal. "Don't let your father's words unnerve you. He always gets pessimistic at times like this." "I do not," Liren said. She gave him a look. "Name one other time." "Meeting my parents." Cal's father pulled up short, blinking. "Stormwinds," he muttered. "Let's hope this doesn't go half as poorly as that."
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's very interesting.
And the context is they're going to see the new Bright Lord.
Oh.
So.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it did kind of go worse in retrospect.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Hopefully. Great. So, go. Ben, why don't you read this next one for us? Where you're there. Oh.
Yes. Overlord Jebus asked, all the physical Who's that guy? All the physical manifestations, solid physical manifestations we've seen of investiture have been metallic. It's been atium, lerasium, and shardblades. Is this just a coincidence? Brandon replied, "No, it's intentional." And so I asked, so it's intentional, so we're not going to be seeing investiture wood or investiture plastic? Brandon said, right, I technically, what do you call the Aethers? They're not metal,
good
but
question.
I do it as metal intentionally. Yeah.
What do you call the Aethers? I don't know.
I need to read Aether of Night.
Guess so.
Someone else then said they could be metal with a very low boiling point. And Brandon said, yes, the vine ones are.
What?
I think that may... Yeah.
Huh.
Okay. I then said, because we've had liquid, we've had gas, the solids all seem to be metallic. So Brandon said, that is intentional. It's just one of those little laws of the Cosmere. But that's not meant to mean anything. Which I thought that last bit was interesting, because I thought I was kind of onto something here.
Well, I mean, it's only weird in that Ruin and Preservation are blind to metals, and it is a subject of much debate as to whether other shards have that limitation.
Exactly.
Well, I think they're blind to metals on Scadrial. And I think all shards would be blind to metal on Scadrial because of Scadrial being Scadrial.
How
and
the
metals having
investiture
power
works there.
Yeah, I don't know if all shards would be, but I understand the reasoning behind it. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. But the way I was going with this is I wanted to know if... so we have the metallic arts, and we know that the metallic arts work with all metal in the Cosmere, no matter where it's from. Mm-hmm. And so we also have god metals. And I was wondering if all solid physical manifestations of investiture from any shard would also be compatible with the metallic arts. And like I said, would we be getting like investiture wood? That obviously wouldn't be, but then but he has now said it would always be metal, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Okay. I have two things. One, Brandon has been asked if you could burn the metal that makes up shard blades before, and he says that an ordinary Mistborn probably wouldn't have a connection to that investiture, so it wouldn't work.
Okay.
So, like, maybe a Rosharan Mistborn could make that work, but...
That's crazy.
But then with, like, for example, Hemalurgy, you just need the intent and the knowledge. And
Capital I intent. Capital I intent.
That is a good point.
Yeah. And so would you be able to do it with just because Hemalurgy creates the connections required? That so this to me, I'm
my second point is that I think what he's trying to say by saying that that's not meant to mean anything is like, it's just a fact of the Cosmere. Like, there's no real deeper meaning there, like, that Brandon was intending to make.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, there's this great puzzle here. Like, it's like the colors of Roshar's moon. Like, they're relevant, but it's not some big secret that is going to be poured in book 7.
Or it's more like, the pools are liquid.
Yeah.
Whoa. Like, that's not super important. But I do think the metal blindness, the creation of Scadrial, and all that stuff, these are deep shard questions, which are important. But that solid investiture, that's not the important part. But I don't know. The blindness is very interesting.
What I'm really curious is finding out more about the equivalent of like the god metals and the shard blades on Nalthis. Because it's a very different magic system, and you would assume that like an awakener could take advantage of Edgley's investiture in some way, right?
I think the closest there is to that is the Tears of Edgley.
Yeah.
Because we know that Endowment's shard pool is leaking. And that's why...
that they're growing out of it.
Yeah, that's why the Tears of Edgley can only grow in Hallandren.
Yeah.
But I guess then my question would be, do Awakeners need this kind of natural process to kind of convert that investiture into a form they can use in the form of color? Or if they had that like a solid source, like the Atium or ATM equivalent, what could they do with that?
Oh, could they do something with it? Okay.
Or unless that's breath, right? Like it's
like a little. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Because
so essentially, what you're saying is if endowment somehow manifested a little bead of metal, because if all solid investiture is metallic, it would be a little bead of metal.
Endowment.
And then someone from now...
or Edglium.
Edglium.
Yeah.
Egglium, and then a Awakener then swallowed it, or just anyone from Nalthis then swallowed it, what effect would that have? Would it have any effect at all?
I don't think swallowing it would have any effect.
I think swallowing
if you
is
try to breathe it in,
thing.
you just choke on it. So,
yeah. Well, I don't think consuming it in any way would be relevant.
This kind of is getting into the weeds, but I don't necessarily know if swallowing that would not have an effect, because Lerasium just gives connection to its shard, basically.
Yeah.
And Atium's honestly the weird one that doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And so it's not entirely unreasonable for you. I mean, you wouldn't become some Mistborny like thing, but you could get maybe more connection to endowment. Maybe not. I don't know.
Like, I don't know if that's even really that relevant though, because anyone can be an Awakener. Like,
well, right. I mean,
like,
that one's a useless thing, but
yeah,
I'm more thinking of that from like any shard. If they put like, here's this metal, if you consume it, would you know?
I definitely think that's a Lerasium thing. Like, Lerasium rewrites the spirit web. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's a function of all god metals at all.
I would wonder
obviously, but
I know we want to get back on track, but I'd almost wonder, just like spitballing, if Egglium, like if you tapped into that in its like pure form, if it might do something like some sort of breath enhancement. Like, we know there's qualities of breath, and if it might make you into something similar to a returned, like maybe not all the way as a returned, because we know that's like endowment directly kind of meddling, but if it would like improve your base breath, that's one thing I could see that around.
It's really hard to say, because the function of god metals is really unclear. Why does Atium does the thing that it specifically does? That is really not very clear, to be real.
Well, it makes sense to me, basically. Like,
does it?
Because
it make sense?
Atium is really powerful in its magic system, and it has a very limited effect in another magic system. Likewise, Lerasium would have a very limited effect in hemalurgy. Like,
in hemalurgy, it can steal anything, right?
Sure.
So like, it really improves the versatility.
Okay.
And if you're looking at the intent of hemalurgy, it's like breaking the investiture down into smaller pieces. And so Atium allows like any investiture or any like aspect to be broken down into smaller packages.
Ian, that was a very good explanation, which kind of solves one of the things that I've complained about for a long time. So great, thanks.
And this is why I'm on the podcast.
That's right. That's why you're on the podcast. Screw you, Stormfather. Let's move on. I'll read this next one. Does Kushiesh the Protector have anything to do with the third sibling at Erytheru? Brandon, see, you gave me too much wiggle room there, because anything's a really broad term. I could say yes, but not in the way you're thinking. Questioner, I have to rethink my theory then. Brandon, I'll say probably not in the way you're thinking.
Yeah, you have to be very careful with Brandon. If you give him an inch, he will take a mile. Like, yeah, like, if they have anything to do with each other. Yes, they both existed in the Cosmere. Bam.
Boom.
Yeah, exactly.
Did it.
That does nothing.
They're both spread.
I asked Brandon how many shards have been on Roshar. This is pre-Words of Radiance, where things were more shaky in our knowledge, right?
Okay.
There was this theory that Odium, like the broken one, was some other thing. That's basically what was going on. And I wanted to quash that immediately. But I asked Brandon how many shards have invested themselves on Roshar, and he said, well, technically all of them did. Which, like, now we kind of know why that is. Well, right, because all the investiture on the Shattering converted into those flavors, right? So we now know what that means. But yeah, in 2013, we had no idea what that meant. And so I was like,
oh God, I can imagine that was annoying. Like,
he did that twice to me in that time. So yeah, that was great.
He kind of gets in moods, right?
Yeah.
Well, he likes trolling me, especially, in particular. Ian, why don't you read this one?
Okay. This is from some guy named, like, Overlord Jebus or something.
God. He drinks a lot of tea. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's
so pretty.
And though Arshara from the forums and the Discord did suggest this one, so shout out to her. Can a Spren willingly break their bond anytime between the 1st and 5th oath with their Radiant? Very hesitantly, Brennan says, well, yes, this is possible. Overlord Jebus. Essentially, committing suicide isn't it, though. Brennan, I ascribe to that question. A Spren could at any point break it. Can they break it safely? That's a different question. Ben asks, can they break it safely? There are methods in place where it can be stopped, so yes, it can be done. But once you've started into this, once you've chosen on both sides, it's a dangerous process. But yes, it can be done, and it can be done safely.
That seems
this is very curious. So it even though like I know a lot of people think the Spren were in on it during the Recreants, and
yes, they have to.
This kind of thing kind of doesn't shut down. I don't know. I think so.
Listen to our Recreants podcast, Ben. We talked about this extensively there, so you can just go listen to that one.
Oh, I think I did, but I still think I disagree. But yeah, so if the Spren can break their bond. I'll go listen to it again and we can talk about it another time.
Yeah.
It does
time frame.
Have interesting implications.
Yeah, there isn't a time frame for this. The Recreants might have needed to happen like ASAP. We don't know. And breaking the bond safely might have taken too much time. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Because I think we can agree what happened to the Radiant Spren who became Shardblades was not the safe version of this process.
No,
because
that's the bad version.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's also probably like the they might just not have had the knowledge to do it without the heralds around. Maybe the heralds could have helped, like, tell them, yo, maybe you could do like these 4 things, right? And those radiants at the Recreants just didn't have.
Well,
Honor was not being particularly helpful, let's just say, at the time.
The other thing is, like, this is, and would Honor, because, like, you're still kind of breaking an oath if you're kind of intentionally untangling this relationship. Anyway, so Honor might be like, no, I'm not going to help you because keep your oaths.
Honor definitely wouldn't do that.
Yeah, at that point, like, I don't think he could have, even if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. With coming from Brandon too, you don't know if this is even something that any of the characters know about. Like, it could be that in Brandon's head, there is a safe way to do this, but no one on Roshar might know about it yet, right?
Or we might, like, learn about it in a few books.
Pattern kind of implies he does know about this in Oathbringer. Because near the beginning, he kind of goes, Shallan, if you want another one, you can just tell me to go away and I'll go away and they'll send you a new Spren.
I thought he was talking about, like, you can kill me and then they'll just send you a new
thought
Spren.
It was that.
Maybe.
I'm like pretty sure it was like, he's like, oh, if you kill me, they'll just send another one.
Yeah, because Pattern was like, he was kind of resigned to his fate that Shallan would kill him.
So,
Pattern's the cutest.
Going back to Elantris from the intro.
Yeah, that's right.
Sion's, that bond can be passed, capital P passed, from person to person. And Brandon has said that the Nahel bond can be passed.
Oh, okay. Well.
So how
maybe
that works.
The Recreant solution is, no, I could pass it. So, I'm not, your person, but we want all of those removed. So that's not really going to work out.
We want there to be no radiance anymore. And maybe the safe way of untangling a bond doesn't get to that goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Just killing all the Spren, though. That's still going to be...
I know. On a happier note, Matt, why don't you do this next one?
Sure. Questioner, Jasna and Chris seem like they would be super good friends or girlfriends, and I was wondering if there was any possibility of that. Brandon, yes, I think they would get along. This is something I've
Chris
been...
shippers.
Yeah. I've been really excited about the idea of Chris and Jasna just being in the same room together.
Jasna.
That'd be amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I kind of pictured it more like, are one of them gonna like kill the other? But it's nice to know. Actually, no, they'd get along.
Right. Unlike when, do Hoyd and Kelsier like each other? Brandon, no, not at all. Then years later, we see exactly immediately. Oh yeah, they really don't get along really fast.
So yeah, I think just because, and Jasna is someone out of our current main cast who I could see becoming Cosmere literate in the future, because she already knows.
Yeah,
she's already like 3/4 of the way there, I think.
Pretty much.
So it's cool to think of them being colleagues.
Yeah, I'm just
cool. Right.
I can't wait until like Roshar makes contact with the wider Cosmere again, because we do know that
it's gonna be fascinating.
In ages past, like the Radiants, like they did know about that sort of thing. Like they did interact with the wider Cosmere.
Wouldn't they have to, like, being else colors? Like, we know Shadesmar. Yeah, we could figure it out pretty quick.
They have a whole power devoted to kind of exploring the cognitive realm, and also Roshar, because it has like amenities in Shadesmar, it's a little more friendly, I'd think, for world hoppers than like Scadriel's, which is just empty. Yeah, and you have Nas and Chris like huddling around the little fire, being like, "We're gonna watch a shard die." Like, it's a little different.
And Brandon has said something along the lines of like, it's very easy to get to Roshar in the cognitive realm, like a very like focal point or something. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Interesting. Could just be because there's a lot of stuff there, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of mental activity. I don't know.
Easy to find.
Well, we've seen the cognitive realms map, and it has all of the directions pointing towards all the planets. Maybe only Roshar is just kind of cognitive realm geographically in the center, maybe kind of thing. Of just a few
I don't
planets.
think so.
That could just be a perspective thing, you know?
Yeah, that's
I don't
definitely
know
just a perspective. Like, that was made by people on Roshar. Like, of course, they would put Roshar in the
Earth
middle.
is the center of the universe. Oh, like it's... Yeah. If you're on Roshar, you would do it like that. But
it's like with all those maps where Europe is bigger than... Or, like, the same size as Africa.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because they're making the maps and they feel that Europe is bigger, whereas Africa's much bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, actually... Mm-hmm. Historical sidebar, which I like, when missionaries were first going into China, like Christian missionaries, like there was like they weren't having a lot of luck, but then this one specific sect like started like gave like the Chinese like maps of the greater world, but with China in the center. It's just like the Chinese love that because like, and that goes into like their culture as like the Middle Kingdom and all of that.
Yeah,
but
okay,
putting
that's cool.
Stuff in the center like really makes people like that. Like,
you mean like how America is kind of there on like American maps and
like.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't hear you from Greenwich Mean Time over here, so...
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking Prime Meridian, too.
Yeah. All right, Ben. Here, it's so nice. We're just going in order, and you get this one, which is very important.
No, I think we should just skip this one.
No. Okay, nope. You know what, Ben? I'm gonna narrate it for you, then, and you'll just react, okay? How about we just do that? No. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. This is your question. Very important question. Answered for people.
Right, so I asked, has Eshonai left for the beyond? And Brandon says, yes, I'll canonize this. I'm sorry. And I almost basically fell down at this because I was expecting a no or a Raffo. And so I was like, no, Raffo it. Brandon said, you wanted that was the Raffo bait? So then Brandon's reply is, that was Raffo bait? Okay, I never intended that. If you want to leave this one out there, that's fine, but I never intended Timber to be Eshonai's soul. When people said that in the beta, I'm like, I guess you could see that, but that's not how Spren work, right? I then replied, I was going to say, I then replied, I was going to say, you're saying Timber is not Eshonai's soul. Going for that clarification, guys. Brandon then said, no, I never even thought they would make that connection because we saw Timber in the previous books. I mean, I don't want to kill people's fan theories, but that one kind of blindsided me in the beta. I'm like, well, I guess we'll go ahead and let people think that, but no. You can leave that one off if you want to tease people and things. Some people want to believe that. And then I'm not going to read the rest of the...
where you promised
I will.
Okay, great, do that.
Ben continues, I made a bet that Eshonai was not only still be alive after Words of Radiance, but would also become radiant. And then the bet was, if not, I had to eat a shoe. Brandon, oh no. Ben, so I've been trying to get out of it for you could eat a gummy shoe or something like that. But no, I didn't intend this. No.
I love Brandon just just wrecking this theory so hard. Yeah. I don't think he's ever done that. He's just like, no, what? Well, no, that's weird.
And to be fair, his points that it's something he didn't anticipate because Timber does show up in Words of Radiance.
Yeah, search comment
not named. Yeah. Not named, right?
There.
But and then also like he said, that's not how Spren work. Spren aren't the spirits of
dead things,
dead Rosharans. So,
him just completely shutting down the theory was quite
surprising.
Yeah, surprising. Like I said, I was just going in there to find out whether Eshonai was coming back in any way, and then he just jumped on it as I'm going to bash on Timber as a Shonai a little bit.
Yeah, I do know that there have been a number of things that fandom comes up with, and Brenner's like, what?
Yeah.
I would just like to point out certain militant people on the forum thinking that Timber's Eshonai's soul. Well, I'm sorry. Brandon just completely wrecked that theory.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And to go back to our...
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And to go back to our pronunciation more, timbre. This is an actual English word.
Yes, and as the only English people here, only English person here, I'm going to say it's timber.
Great, I'm cool with that because it's not it's an I. So there.
Yeah. Also, but it's literally timbre. That's how you say that word.
I'm going with the British person. I'll just say aluminium now. But also, your pronunciation sucks, Ben, as we discussed last week.
Yeah,
sucks. Great.
Yeah, I will say I do have your bet screen capped still. So
yeah, it's very important.
I think half the Discord has that bet screen capped.
Very well documented.
And I want you to make a YouTube video of you eating a gummy shoe. It's very important to me.
It'll happen eventually. I'll get round to making it one day.
You'll make
a
YouTube
shoe-shaped cake.
Yeah, I'll make YouTube videos again one day, guys. I promise.
Yep. Cool. So, let's do this next one. Questioner, we saw in Arcanum Unbounded that you can also travel without a perpendicularity to get to the different systems. But is that like an alien spaceship thing that we're going to find out? Brandon, yes, you could get between them all if you use conventional space travel. It would take a long time, but you could get between them all. All the other methods use the magics in some way. Questioner, but does it always have to be the cognitive realm? Brandon, the ways that people know how to do it are all related to the cognitive realm in some way. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's the way that everyone knows.
Yeah.
Now, before we discuss this one, that does really tie into the next one, so we might just want to read that one and then discuss both of these.
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
Do this next
So,
one.
questioner, did humans come to Roshar through Shadesmar? Brandon, it is technology or magic closer to how the Oath Gates work, but it was like that. It's not canon, but right now that's what I have. It's not canon because there are certain things I have to work out before they can work. And then a little later on, he went back. By the way, I'll just say to the tape recording that I haven't canonized, like for instance, if they travel to Shadesmar to get to Shinovar from Ashen. Right now, I have that not being via Shadesmar, but the mechanics of that might not work out, and I might have to default to Shadesmar. So there are certain things you'll see where I say, this isn't the canon answer, it's where I have things right now. Then, so Urithiru might end up being a spaceship after all? It's not that. Right now I have them using something closer to oath gating, but it opens up a huge can of worms when I'm not requiring direct. When I'm sending them through the spiritual realm, it opens up cans of worms, and I have to make sure the mechanics on that are tight before I do it.
So isn't he just saying that the Oath Gates go through the spiritual then?
That's exactly what he's saying. Well, not
yeah,
Oath Gates.
Yeah, just talked with me that is.
I don't think he's saying that. He's saying that the method that the Ashenites used to get to Roshar used the spiritual realm, and that it is similar to oath gating. Because I think we also got a word of Brandon in here somewhere that oath gates work by speed of light travel through the cognitive realm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are not oath gating.
I guess I just don't understand why he would conflate the two if one's going through the spiritual, one's going through the cognitive. That's where I'm coming from there, right?
I think what he's trying. I think his main way of saying is just saying they didn't transport to the cognitive realm and then walk there. They were transported via magical means within the realmatic systems.
Yeah. Sure.
It was more like Star Trek transporters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Urithiru is definitely not a spaceship and never will be.
Yes.
Well, we don't know, never will be.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe in the future will become.
You just spoiled Book 9's plot twist. How dare you?
No.
Navani converts Urithiru into a spaceship.
See? All right. We got to have a quick sidebar here. You, Matt, are pronouncing Urithiru with a U rather than oo there. I'll just point that out there. Some people complaining about my pronunciation of this. And things sounding like about. Urethra.
Sorry.
Just
That's
saying.
How I read it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's all your fault, Eric.
So on that note, Matt, why don't you read this next one? On that completely irrelevant note, do this next one.
Why don't you have to say the words if you're just bonding a cryptic? Every order's first oath is the same. Then the second oaths for the cryptics go into truths. But everyone says the first oath the same, regardless of order, which should raise the question of... and then the questioner interjects. Word of advice, don't interrupt Brandon when he's giving a question. Because sometimes that can... This one worked out okay, but sometimes that can get him off the hook. Yeah. So the questioner interjects and says, did Shallan say it when she was a teeny weeny, like in the cradle? Brandon, that should raise a question. She wasn't teeny weeny, but it should raise the question there. Of course, we see the moment on screen when Shallan kind of renews her progress as a Radiant.
Yes.
And that's with a truth. So she doesn't re-swear the first ideal.
Yeah, so she clearly...
Because we do have a word... We do have kind of an implication or confirmation that she had regressed. And that's why we've seen her swear so many truths on screen.
What makes me very curious is one of the flashbacks we get from Shallan when she's very young and she's got Patton with her and talking and she's like not even 10 years old. And so this is something that's always troubled me because I've been thinking, what truths can someone who's like 7 years old possibly tell
seriously.
to be thinking? Like, oh yeah, it was me that drew on the wall and I blamed it on my brother. Like,
I think that is reductive of children. Like, children are more like people than we often think they are. Like, they are people. Like, they can understand things. They can have
secrets,
truths. Like, they can have lies.
More that, hey, Brandon clearly has thought about that part of Shallan's childhood, and we haven't seen that. And so, like, what those truths are could still be important. And when Brandon says a leading question, that should raise this question. That's probably going to be a thing.
So it's going to be. But I mean, we've already had Shallan's flashbacks, so I don't know when we'd get more information about
he did add in Kaladin's flashbacks in Oathbringer. So I'm assuming he might do something like that again.
True. Okay.
Another thing that's been talked about on Discord, at least, and probably on the forums, is, we've seen Shallan's like kind of dark past, but none of that was what broke her enough to allow her to become a Radiant.
True.
Because when we first see her, she's already a Radiant. So something prior to that must have broken her enough for her to...
I will just say the caveat that breaking might not be as necessary as we think it is.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
That's true.
Lopin's just a happy guy.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have some deep, dark trauma.
No.
But yeah,
I want Grimdark Lopin. That's what I want. No, I don't want
But basically, Shallan still has some secrets from her very early childhood that we don't know about. Yeah.
And we know at least that she was on the journey to self-awareness, because that's kind of what the Lightweaver truths are geared towards, is being kind of self-aware. So she was on that from an early age.
And I actually think, from what we know of the orders now, like, the Lightweavers are probably the order that would be most not suitable, but most open to children.
Okay.
Because, like, yes, children are have more going on than, like, we might think, but they're still children.
Yeah.
Like, they might not be able to internalize.
Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Like,
yeah.
You're not going to get that at 5. Right.
Yeah.
Though, like, an older sibling with a younger sibling in an abusive household, like, I could see them getting
true.
that.
That's true. But in general, probably less so.
Yeah.
And I will unite rather than divide.
Like, there was stuff going on with Shallan's mom and dad, obviously. I mean, they're both involved with secret societies and...
Yeah. This next one from Rainier basically asks about Nightblood.
Rainier?
Yeah, Rainier, like the mountain.
Rainier, yeah.
Yeah. The mountain that overlooks Seattle, which is where Emerald City Comic Con was.
Yeah. My aunt and uncle lived there.
Okay.
You can cut that, Eric.
No, I'll leave it in. That's fine. If people want to mock my pronunciations, that's totally fine.
That's also why I'm on the podcast.
That's true. To make fun of me. But basically, Brandon says that one minor aspect of the book Nightblood, sequel to Warbreaker, is Darrow, a character from Aether of Night, is going to be worked into the main continuity.
Yes, which is exciting. Confirmation of a non-canon character appearing when they're going to appear as well. Like, I don't think we've ever had that.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Brandon's being very, like, off the cuff with Aether these days. So.
I'm reading this again. I'm wondering if he's actually saying what we think he's saying. Because when we first read this, we're like, oh, Darrow is going to be a world hopper. But, like, if Brandon's going to, like, have to massively rework Aether of Night in the first place, like, Darrow might just be an Althian.
Oh, that's true. Well, he's working into the main continuity, for sure.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next one, I met Rainier and I went to brunch around his house, and he's a great guy. And he is a Shaladin supporter, so...
Yes. Ian, why don't you...
Yeah, so... Silaseri asked a question about whether tapping ferrochemical gold would protect a Mistborn trying to burn et metal.
I like how you refuse to say harmonium. It's consistently amusing to me.
Okay. And Brandon's like, that is theoretically possible. and Silasori tries to probe a little bit more, and Brennan ends up just rathoing him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it would do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think anything with et metal or harmonium, I think for now, like that's obviously going to be a key thing in future Mistborn books. So I think it's going to be tough to get that sort of thing out of him.
Yeah. Until we actually like see South Scadrial, like he's not going to answer any questions about that.
Nope. No. Hopefully we see more on Lost Metal.
Hopefully.
Matt, why don't you do this next one?
Okay, sure. So this is another Jebus question. Does Investiture seek spawn intelligence because it used to be a Denalcium, or did a Denalcium come to exist because Investiture seeks intelligence? Brandon says that's a chicken and egg question. You'll find both theories espoused by people in the know.
Which is basically a Raffo.
Yeah.
Basically.
And what the trend with the questions Brandon's been answering about kind of the greater Cosmere has very much been, there's debates in world about this. Like that's a common answer he'll give for kind of those big questions. And
I've noticed it's more common recently.
Yeah. It's common with like anything that has to do with the beyond, like our cognitive shadows, like actually the person or just a copy, like up for debate.
And I think that's partially because, we're getting into like Adenalcium is, like the divine, right? And so I think there's aspects of it that are beyond human understanding, I think. And so Brandon, of course, is hesitant to
confirm
explain something which he maybe wants.
They'll probably be arguing that in the like Mistborn era 4,
Yeah.
Right?
It's one of those things I don't think we're ever going to get a definitive answer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there are things, like Brandon is very open, but there are still things that he doesn't want to like confirm or deny.
Yeah.
This one specifically, I do hope we do get an answer. I hope, anyway.
If it was me writing, I would not answer this.
We might get someone exploring that question, but I don't think we'll get a definitive thing. This next one,
So, for this next one, I basically asked, is Eotil a Misting, a Farrowing, a Mistborn, a Feruchemist? I wanted to know absolutely anything about Eotil, and Brandon just raffoed it all. Just basically said Eotil is a raffo completely.
Rip.
Which is fair.
Yep.
I'm still very disappointed we didn't see any of Yaddle in Oathbringer, at all.
Yeah, we need some more Ghostblood stuff.
Yeah.
Ben asks, Adolin's hit by Parshendi lightning, and then his plate reacts and starts blocking out the light from the rest of the lightning strikes. Is he awakening his shard plate as well as his blade? And Brandon says, so shard plate didn't have as much of a problem as the blades did. So if someone else were wearing that, they could have had the same effect. So Ben says, so it's more just a function of shard plate, really. Brandon, yeah, but I mean, the shard plate needs to be a little more aware, It didn't have as much of an effect on shard plate as the blades. Ben says, that being the Recreants? The Recreants, yeah.
Which we still really don't understand shard plate.
Yeah. All that tells us really is that the Recreants didn't affect plate as much as it did blades, which we can tell just from the way they function, really.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately doesn't disprove my least favorite theory, which is the lesser spren theory. I know a lot of people like that one.
Oh, I like that one.
I like it. I don't know if I'm sold on it yet.
I just don't know the specifics. I think once we see the specifics, it'll make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how specifically, but I think they're involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also from Ben. So in part 4 of Earthbringer, like, we do not see in Neverstorm from the perspective of the cognitive realm, even though we should have.
Yes.
And Brennan's like, the reason for that is because he didn't know how to write it yet. So, like, I'm just not going to put it in. I'm going to avoid the issue.
Well, he did say, yeah.
This is one of those holes where he is just like, I don't know what an Everstorm looks like in the cognitive realm yet, so I just didn't put it in.
Yeah.
Well, and
but like that will be involved in a later book. So We will see that eventually.
But our characters, he does kind of confirm there that the characters did witness one.
Yeah.
Which we knew because of the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I'll paraphrase the question maybe. So he's asking about how, the questioner asks about how Dalinar learns languages. Compared with Venli, who knows all languages. And Brandon says, Dalinar's connection is going to work. He has to kind of be active about it. So it needs to be... then he says, let me see if I can get the words right. The mechanics I have in the notes is that Dalinar has to touch someone and will learn to speak the language of their native country that they spoke as a young person. He's making a direct connection to that specific person and their way of speaking. So if you have learned another language and Dalinar shakes your hand and activates his ability, he will connect not to that language you've learned, but to your native language. And for how long it lasts, he says, it does need to be renewed, but I have it lasting basically as long as days, not months. But I didn't actually put a definite time on it, so I'm going to say it's not canon. I'm not canonizing that, but I didn't want him to keep renewing it every couple of hours. So I think the idea is kind of, he has to renew it once in a while. It's not a lifetime gift, but it's effectively long enough that he doesn't have to keep touching people.
Yeah, it's as long as necessary for the plot, basically.
Yeah, he just didn't want to write Dalinar having to consistently touch people all the time, because that would be annoying and weird.
I do think that the way this works makes sense with Dalinar and spiritual adhesion. That touch is kind of like a thing, so that makes sense to me.
And he's doing kind of a one-to-one connection. You know, he's not doing what Venli, the specific interesting power that Venli is getting with envoy form.
Yeah.
And it's distinct from the theoretical edge dancer resonance.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Which is very similar to Venli's ability.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the question asks, when was the Ars Arcanum for Elantris written? Was it any specific time? And Brandon replies, saying that the Ars Arcanum is around the context of the events of the first book. He would have to look it up and double check, but you can take that as canon unless I look at it and find, So that's interesting because Elantris takes place a lot more before everything else.
It does.
Yeah, and so Chris got started early, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is after White Sand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's just interesting that she wasn't. It didn't take a lot of time for her to get started on her quest of Ars Arcanum and everything. She seemed to have.
Could be centuries, so.
True.
Yeah.
I will just say that she definitely took a step back when writing the Era 1 Ars Arcana, because those are just
glossaries,
not essays and glossaries.
Which in reality is purely just because that's when he started writing Ars Arcana.
Yeah,
really.
It's I'm really curious to see whether Brandon had this idea from the start of someone in world writing these things, because I don't think that is clear at all from.
I think he mentioned this before, that he said when he used to read, I cannot remember what series it was.
He talks about Tolkien and the maps often.
And how he loved how the maps were in-world artifacts, and how he said that makes the reader feel more in the world. So he said that's always been his intention with those kind of things, is that that's what gave him the idea for Ars Arcanums and the maps.
I don't think that's what gave him the idea for the Ars Arcanum.
Not the idea.
That's specifically about That's specifically about the maps and the illustrations, not the Ars Arcanum.
Okay.
The Ars Arcanum started because fantasy books always have glossaries in the back, and he wanted to have a fun name. He didn't want it just to be called, so he named it the Ars Arcanum.
Okay.
Right. I'm gonna guess, and this is just my guess, that the Ars Arcana for Elantris, maybe he had an idea that someone in world was writing it, but I don't think he had settled that Chris was the one writing it when he put it together.
Well, because the Era 1 Mistborn Ars Arcana do refer to real world things. It mentions the Mistborn llamas, so it's
yeah.
I have a really hard time seeing that as being an in-world thing.
I don't think we should have the glossary of terms to that was the first time he was doing a longer series.
Yeah, so that's. I don't think that should be counted as a true Ars Arcanum.
I would just say, I would just think that the table that Chris had in Era 1, he was saying that the table is in world, and so that's what I'm gonna go with. That's what Chris probably would have known about those.
That's fair.
Abilities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, this next one is kind of crazy.
Do you want to do it,
Questioner? Yeah. And is Hoyd now he can basically lightweave? Brandon. He can already. I would have to delve into that during more times, but he was limited. He's still limited. But there's stuff that he's been trying to do for a while that he can't quite get working. Questioner. Because it seemed like when he and Shallan were creating that story together of the wall, Brandon, right, he was using her power, right? And guiding it. He wasn't doing it himself. Questioner, is that something he can do in general? Just help people with their powers? Brandon, not necessarily. That was pretty special circumstances.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much saying that he's a Lightweaver, like she was doing Lightweaving. Like, he couldn't do that with Kaladin lashing.
No, I totally agree with that, but the part that's really interesting to me is, though Hoyd is a Lightweaver from Yolen, he's limited in some ways and could not get some things to work. Like, it's less good than...
Yeah.
And when we see him Lightweaving, at least in the main books, he's often using sand or dust or smoke to do it.
That's
My
true.
main theory is his lightweaving is the manipulation of things around him. He can't create illusions, but he can manipulate things to look like other things. But it's like dust and sand. It's not a very strong illusion he's creating or a lightweaving that he's doing. It's the way I've been kind of reading that what he does.
Although we do also, I think it's in the Ars Arcanum that says that the Rosharan lightweaving is the most similar illusion magic to the Yolen lightweaving.
Yeah.
So it would be more similar than like the Aeons or I'm trying to think of other illusions.
Soul stamping, I guess.
Yeah.
No, that's
not really illusions.
That's not at all illusion.
That's a very different thing, yeah.
But definitely more similar, I think, than the Aeons is what I take that to mean.
Well, because they're both called lightweaving, so I would assume so. That would just be confusing.
Questioner, I was wondering, in Stormlight, what kind of gem the Parshendi gem hearts were, or do they hold Stormlight well? Brandon replies, so this is a good question. This is one that people have been asking me since the first book, if they had one, and I finally confirmed it in book 3. So the reason people don't think Parshendi have a gem heart is that it is milky white and it looks like bone. The questioner then says, but aren't their bones red? This is a very well-educated questioner. Their bones, well, their bones are red, but not completely. If you're going to pull the bone, what you're going to see is, I'll explain it in the next book. So what you're going to do is, if you break open that bone, you're going to find this white, it's not marrow, but it is, I guess it's marrow. Anyway, at the center kind of in their sternum, there is a gem heart there, and it is fused to the bone, and it is grown into the bone, and you have to kind of snap it open and find it inside, and it kind of just looks like marrow, but there's a gem heart in there. And it kind of relates to some stuff in Dragonsteel that I'm not going to get into, but you'll see in the next books. But there's a good reason people just don't think the Parshendi have a gem heart. So lots of good information about gem hearts there and the way the Parshendi work. But that Dragonsteel connection, though, whew!
Yes. I don't know if I'm going to say it's a crack theory, because it's actually kind of reasonable in my mind, but it's a crack theory.
Yeah.
What on Yolen do we know is milky white?
I don't know.
If you have to have read Liar Parnell for this, but like the skull moss, which is Fane life.
Ooh,
that's true. That is true. That's
really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Interesting.
It's been so long since I've read those.
Yeah.
For listeners at home, we don't know anything about Fane life, really.
No, other than it exists.
And it's
on
bad?
Yolen.
Is it bad? Do we know if it's bad?
It's different.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Like, I don't think it's bad.
Okay.
After Oathbringer, I'm not sure, like, what is good and bad. I mean, that's like one of the big...
Yeah, right, exactly.
Are the Voidbringers bad?
Yeah.
Like, there's in theaters now is the movie Annihilation, I think.
Oh, yes.
About, like, that's pretty much what the Fade Life is.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That is a great movie. You've not seen that movie.
I haven't seen it.
I have not. I saw the trailer.
If anyone
like,
Trailer's
that's
a good trailer. I like that trailer.
If you're not in the US, it's on Netflix everywhere else in the world other than the US. What? Yeah, no, it's great.
What? BS.
But one other thing I wanted to say, it's like,
okay.
It's very interesting that because all the other gem hearts that we know of are one of the pole stones, like the 10 gemstones that hold Stormlight.
And they're obviously gems, like they're easy to recognize.
Yeah. So it's weird that Singer gem hearts are this milky white thing.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't really match any of the pole stones.
No. Well, I always figured they were smokestone because I didn't know what smokestone was, so I just figured it was a smoky white stone. But no, turns out that's not true.
It's most definitely dark.
Yeah.
It's smoky quartz. If you don't know, it's smoky quartz.
Yes. If you Google smokestone, it does not come up with smoky quartz.
No. Well, if you do like some really deep delving, you can eventually find smoky quartz, because I did that like 3 years ago, trying to figure out what it was.
Yep.
Okay, so this next one, the questioner asks, where are the rest of Roshar's named gems? Like, we have the Hope Diamond, we've got dozens of, and basically there are named gems. Brandon just didn't include their names, like, because like he didn't want to give another name that people had to like learn.
In Way of Kings, yeah.
A lot of them, a lot of the gems in the Thalen Gem Reserve are named.
Yeah.
But it's also, gems are a lot more transitory on Roshar. Like, they do degrade with use through soul casting. They're not as eternal as they are on Earth. Like, they don't have diamonds are forever on Roshar.
No.
Yeah. That's I really liked the way he said that. Like, that is interesting.
But diamonds are like the lowest of the low on Roshar.
Yeah.
Emeralds are, as long as you can make food for a while with emeralds, it really doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
Really.
So I do love that, like, the green gemstone is worth the most, because my favorite color is green.
Well, and in our world, emeralds are one of the more valuable too, as well.
Practically speaking, it's just that we have a diamond consortium that are raising up the prices of diamonds.
Yeah.
Really.
But yeah, I do think, in case people haven't clocked on, named gems were speaking of things like the King's Drop that trapped Odium at the end of Oathbringer. So,
Odium!
Oh my gosh! Trapped. No, go on.
Job's done, guys. We trapped Odium. We did it.
Yeah,
I completely missed. What did Ben actually say?
I said Odium.
That's a big difference. Technically, he did capture part of Odium, so you're not technically wrong.
Capturing the thrill.
I imagine we're probably going to be seeing lots of these in the future, and Brandon does wish he could have included them earlier as a bit more foreshadowing. Is basically the takeaway from this. Because they kind of come out a little bit out of nowhere.
That's fun.
Kind of.
I don't think so.
Not out
there
of
are
nowhere,
gems. There are big gems. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. And that is Emerald City Comic-Con. And so we just have a few more from the recent signing in Orem this March. And so we thought we'd just crank those out because we can't do a full episode on those. There are some cool ones. This first one, though, isn't, but I'll have you do it anyway, Matt.
Sure. After another 1,000 years, will the Well of Ascension fill up again, or did Harmony do away with that? And Brandon says, one would not expect the Well of Ascension to fill again. People in world assume it will not, and they have a legitimate reasons to think that.
What a surprise!
No.
Yeah, that was Mason Wheeler, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you, Mason.
Which, this totally makes sense. Like, the Well of Ascension was designed that way to fulfill a purpose. That purpose no longer needs to be fulfilled. Like,
yeah, it's not there. And also, I just like saying for the record, Brandon's not really going to be super specific about things Harmony did because we got a lot more Mistborn books.
Yeah, we do.
So there are holes to fill there.
And as a shard, even though he's like quite invested, he could show up in some capacity elsewhere, as we saw with the letter, right?
Yeah,
Harmony could be significant in other plot lines.
He's quite invested is quite a way of putting the most invested being in the entire Cosmere.
Yeah, no, totally.
Pretty invested in Scadrial.
He's a little bit invested.
You can't see the Ian's face of extreme displeasure from that pun.
Actually, that was like me, like totally spacing out. Like,
okay.
To be honest, like
Eric's they're making a stupid pun. Whatever. That's fine.
I like puns. Like, I wouldn't be a Sanderson fan if I didn't love puns. Like, come on.
True that.
That's true.
Questioner asks, do Honor Blades bestow their abilities similar to an identity-free Nigrosil mind with other Metal-born abilities? And Brandon says, yeah, these are working on similar principles, same principle, divergent applications by the magic systems, but yeah, I would say they come back to the same principles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, unsealed metal minds, woo.
Woo! So yeah, the Honor Blades, they work for everyone, no matter what your identity is.
Yep. I do always think that for Heralds, the Honor Blades are going to do more, though.
Yeah, probably.
Than just regular things. This one's my turn. This one is crazy. The fused inaudible, like the lashings, can be a lot faster than Kaladin are, is because inaudible than the Radiance? Great. The answer is the cool part, though. Brandon, Kaladin can go faster, but they are faster over a longer span. What's going on with the fused is the way their investiture works, it doesn't leak, and they are able to use it for much longer periods of time. But they don't have access to the number of times that Kaladin can lash himself directions and things like this, and the speed with which he can pick up speed. So in the short, Kaladin is favored. In the long, they're favored.
Which is very interesting because back in The Way of Kings, Seth mentions that Voidbringers don't leak.
Yeah.
Right in the prologue. It's right in the prologue if you look at that. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay, that makes sense.
It's right in the prologue. It's really
That's great. See, I had interpreted that to... Okay, no, don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't.
My interpretation was completely wrong. Okay.
I actually kind of want to hear your interpretation now.
What I was going to say is because we learned this kind of we learned the Voidbringers flip for the humans.
Yeah,
I figured that meant that humans could hold Stormlight indefinitely, which we know, which is one of the theories that a Radiant to the Fifth Oath may be able to hold Stormlight perfectly. So I
based
kind
on
of thought
other comments Brennan has made, I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
I think it's just the origin of the Voidbringers got very muddled, and Zeth doesn't know everything. And so there's an element of truth that, the fused, those Voidbringers, which we had for all the years of the Heralds existing,
Yeah. I want to quickly take this as an opportunity as well to talk about how I think that Void Light works with the fuse, because this is a great example and works really well in my theory. So I feel like the fused get a continuous stream of void light that's quite slow, and a very low maximum amount that they can hold. And so what this means is that just like a normal lashing, where once you've done the lashing, in order to maintain it, it basically costs nothing. Kaladin can lash himself a load of time because he can hold loads of Stormlight. But a fused can only lash themselves once, then they have to wait for it to regenerate a little bit, then lash it again, and then but because they've got this continuous stream, they don't ever need to stop themselves lashing because that continuous stream is faster than a single lashing would have them run out. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay. I think.
So
I do like the direct connection.
Yeah. It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not clear how void light occurs. It's not through the Everstorm, right? So
yeah.
They get void light differently than...
And we know that Mishram in the false distillation was providing
void light. Yeah. That's right.
And like it was her connection to the Parsh that ended up making the Parsh into the Parshmen.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rip.
And it's interesting. I like how he shows that though in the books, like with the lashing fused, like they wear clothing that would be totally impractical if they ever had to land, right?
Oh, yes,
and their weapons
loved that.
are all based on the concept of them
always being in flight,
not needing to worry about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool.
True. Yeah, it's true. One theory I saw from, I think, Yada and Calderis on the forums, and they posted this on Reddit, was their theory was Stormlight always wants to escape. Because that's kind of how...
Which, that's not theory, by the way. That's...
Well, right.
Yeah.
That part is...
Doing the preliminary work for the theory, Ian. Okay. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Well, it sounded like that was part of the theory, so...
Well... Similar to that, void light sucks inward, so it doesn't want to leave you. So maybe that theory was the reason why void light doesn't leak is because, well, the void sucks in rather than Stormlight wanting to push out. Just like the way those investitures work is just functionally different in that way.
Okay.
Maybe.
Which I thought that was an interesting idea.
It's interesting.
We're going to see a lot more about it. Right now, we're babies. We don't know much about all these things.
Yeah. We're teeny weenies.
Teeny weenies.
Yeah, teeny weenies. Like Shalon.
Teeny weenies, that's right.
Always bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
I'll read this next one.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So there hasn't been a lot of the stone words in the books. Are they going to come forward in the next few? And Brandon talks a little bit about how, like, he didn't want to overwhelm people with tons of magical abilities, so he kind of kept it more low-key.
Especially with all the fused,
Yeah, and so, like, with the fuse, like, we're mostly just seeing fuse that have the same abilities as Radiance we have seen.
Yeah.
Which is the case. Like, lashings, like, illusions, abrasion. But, like, the questioner then goes on, it's like, can they shape stone? In one of the flashbacks, they kind of melted it and it becomes sand. And Brennan's basically my original pitch to myself on stone words. One of their main powers, I mean. Everybody has to, but okay. The ability to grab matter and just kind of, like, what if the whole world were clay to you? Not just stone, not just rock, but if you could just pick up something and stretch it. Whatever it was, that was my original pitch on that order. So architects or combat engineers fill that order. Yeah, stuff like that, but also, like, you need to get out of the room. Let's just mash ourselves a doorway here and step through, or just all kinds of stuff. Can they do that to living flesh? No, that's the general. The more invested something is, the more it resists. And stone word powers are highly resisted by things. Even a small amount of extra just investiture is going to prevent them. Like if you stuck Stormlight in an object, say a Windrunner did, a stone word wouldn't be able to change that.
Super cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's go edit that Stoneward article on the Coppermind.
I like that elevator pitch of the Stoneward. It's just hey,
it's cool.
That everything in the world is clay to them, and I can't wait to see more of them.
Very similar for people who watch the Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Sometimes earthbending can get kind of like that.
Yeah.
So that's the instant image that came to mind is some of the stuff they do there.
Very
a Stoneward could probably do.
Yeah.
Very powerful, but with some good limitations. So, like any investiture, Stormwards don't get.
So you kind of wonder, if you're going to imprison a Stoneward, you'd want that. You'd want to invest the walls, right? So they couldn't.
I wonder, would their powers work on uninvested aluminum?
Ooh.
I could see it going either way.
I would personally, I would say no, because they resist any investiture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
But it can be. Oh, wait, no. Yeah.
Aluminum's weird. Aluminum's weird. I would probably say no as well, because if you ask, will this magic work on aluminum? The answer is no. So I'm going to go with no.
Yeah.
True.
So this is one of my favorite world hoppers right here. So the questioner says, you know felt? Brandon says felt. I know felt.
Really, Brandon? Of course.
So questioner asks, is felt originally Scadrian? And Brandon says, yep, yes, you guys know about that, right? I don't think it's a big secret.
We've asked
but he
about,
is, and that should be raising other questions. Questioner, about his name or how he's showing up on Roshar? Brandon says, about that, and the fact that he should stand out more.
Interesting. I didn't clock that last little bit the first time I read this.
That's the important part. The other part, we know about Felt.
Yeah. So Felt should stand out more, but he doesn't.
So, there has been a theory where some people think that means that Felt is the Kandra world hopper.
Ooh.
Which I think is very clearly disproved by the annotations, which says Felt is the son of a noble. So
he could have been replaced.
True.
But then he's not Felt anymore. He's the Kandra world hopper. He's not Felt.
I kind of wonder what that says to me, that he should stand out more. I kind of wonder...
I don't know what that means, yeah.
We don't know much about how, for example, ferrochemical, identity works, but, Brandon has... Or not identity. Or is it? One of them, Brandon has talked about how you can make yourself less noticeable.
Yeah.
By storing. Mm-hmm. And I forget which one that is.
Which one is it? Let's look.
It's either identity or connection.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones that would make sense.
That's kind of what that reminds me of. I don't necessarily think he's a Feruchemist, but that's what the
he could have unsealed metaminds. We don't know.
Yeah.
But another I feel nail in the Kandra theory is...
Don't you mean Nale?
I will fly to Britain and murder you.
So, not to interrupt you too much, but we've decided when we really need content, we're going to just have a really long podcast on just arguing about pronunciations. So we're going to do that. Yes, go on. Sorry.
Carry on, Eric. Sorry.
Felt is described as having shin eyes and looking mixed blood.
Okay.
Yeah, if he was the Kandra, he could make himself look more Lethy.
It's very true.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So
he sticks out too much to be a Kandra, but not as much as he should be.
Yeah.
It's got to be just an unsealed metal mind, right? That's the only thing that really makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Cool.
Or something else is going on with him.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, does that mean... Brandon says, the fact he should stand out more, I think that means he should stand out more on Roshar. Yeah. I don't think he's talking about he should have stood out more when he first appeared in the Mistborn books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So this was actually a general Q&A question, which it's always nice when interesting stuff happens there. With soulcasting, we know what can be soulcast based on the color of the gem. With awakening, say you have emerald green inaudible. If you are awakening straw or some other form of plant matter, if you used a source of green for the color, would it be more efficient than using red? Because as we know, awakening drains color.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I haven't built that into the magic system yet. Part of me feels I should have, but I did not. I want color to be relevant to each of the Cosmere magics. It's an essential part of it, and it's part of where we stray more into the magical sense. In my books, we treat magic scientifically, but they are still magic. And it was a thing when I was building Stormlight. He goes on about, color is what defines the pole stones, not so much their chemistry, because there are some stones that are the same.
Sapphire and ruby are a ruby is a red sapphire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, emeralds in Heliodor, which isn't actually Earth Heliodor, and then Smokestone in Amethyst.
If only we had David here.
Yeah.
Mr. Geologist Major.
This just in, Heliodors are actually yellowish green, not golden yellow.
Huh.
Yeah. And my, okay.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By that point, when I was really getting that magic system to work, I had already written Warbreaker, and I had known that I wanted color to be to start being a big part. I'd already written Mistborn, where I worked in color in different ways, but I didn't work that into the Warbreaker magic. I felt like it already had enough restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
I say my worry about the Warbreaker magic is the color feels tacked on. Like the magic could work without it narratively, so why is it there? And that's the question I asked myself while I was building. That's the question I continue to ask myself when I continue to work on for that magic system, to make sure it works for me. But my instincts say adding restrictions like that, particularly when they weren't covered in the first book, feels like the wrong way to go. It'd be like retconning the magic. It's something I considered.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is.
What jumps out to me about that explanation is, so he's saying, like, you know, in Warbreaker, the need for color isn't necessary narratively, and that makes sense, you know, because there's already limits like breath, you know, how much breath you can put in, like, you know, and the command and everything.
Yeah, that's the important part.
So what that to me is like, then why is color important? Like, why was it put in the first place? And the one connection I think of is, of course, the Tears of Edgley. The only reason they're like better for awakening is because of that color connection,
that
right?
Extra kind of investiture in them, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I personally wouldn't be that upset if he added more like relevance to the color in Nightblood's book. Not necessarily like as an additional restriction, but like, oh hey, like, because we know the more human shaped something is, the more efficient it is.
Yeah.
Maybe using the right color also makes it even more efficient, which they might not have figured out yet.
Or maybe the difference is just like small enough that unless you're doing like the same thing repeatedly, like when Vasher's just like breaking in somewhere or something, he doesn't like need to worry about which color he's using because he's just like awakening his clothes. But if you were like,
if you're in like an awakening lab and you're like building very specific constructs or something, like I feel like he could fit it in where it feels like, we're expanding on the specifics of this.
Yeah, we're learning more. The like people in the world are learning more about the magic.
Or
if you want to build 1,000 awakened objects, you want to make sure that the color that's being drained, you want to not be draining too much. So yeah, it could be.
Or something experimental, like if you were doing more Nightbloods, for example.
Yeah,
it might be useful to have the right color so you can, be more efficient and safe in your.
You know, that's a good question because we never talk about the color part of Awakening Nightblood.
Yeah.
Just that he turned black wasn't originally black. So, but if color is important, I guess it must have been important there, right?
And black is a color for awakening purposes. Like it drains towards white instead of draining towards
no, it goes to
black.
Gray.
Well, it goes to gray, but unless you're
because you're not being efficient. Like it goes towards white.
Yeah,
the God King goes to white. Yeah, like because he has the 10th heightening.
Yeah, he's super efficient about it.
He could reuse white.
No, it's like his aura like refracts white light into a rainbow, but I don't think he can actually like reuse that.
But he can reuse stuff that's been drained. Stuff that's been drained to gray. He can pull that remaining color out of the thing.
Okay,
it's been a long time for me.
Same.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, when you awaken a lifeless, it drains the color from it. It makes them monochrome.
Right.
So it's like, how is that related to Nightblood?
Nightblood.
Yeah.
But if for the correlation to be right, Nightblood should be either gray or white.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
you know, because if we're treating black as a color,
Matt, are you saying something weird is going on with Nightblood?
Say it again.
Is that what you're
color
suggesting?
Is Azure's sword? Is it
like
just silvery?
I think it's silvery.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Nightblood's obviously very weird because it can do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
One thing that I felt is interesting is Brandon wants color to be important to each of the Cosmere magics.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And that it is important because my first thought was like, oh, and you just like didn't do that in Mistborn, right? And then he's like, oh, and I specifically did that in Mistborn, and I'm like,
yes.
How is color relevant?
It's black and
didn't
white.
Say specifically in
ruins black, preservation's white.
One, right?
Like
I don't. That's not a magic system though. Like that's.
But he does say he worked it in different ways. Like he worked color into Mistborn in different ways, so it could just be the black and white.
Probably.
As someone who doesn't like it when people base theories purely on the color of things, saying he wants color to be important makes me go, no.
This is the color of this shard.
This is the color of this shard.
By the way, like, shards don't really have a unique color.
Right, exactly.
Like, they kind of do. It's complicated. Just like...
They kind of don't, though.
But, like, for example, he said that... He said that ruin and preservation are black and white because of like their relationship and how it's set up, right?
They were. Odium right now is white and gold, but that's just because that's the clothes he wears when he manifests. But like, we don't know if that actually means anything.
He wants to see regal.
Also, the dagger as well was gold and white.
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah. So it's an iffy one. Like,
but before that, we had always associated violet with odium.
Like, that's true.
Oh yeah, because void light. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So color theory is weird and complicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
It might not mean as much as we think it means.
Yeah.
But it means something.
More.
Yeah.
We will talk more about Nightblood. We will be doing a Nightblood podcast where we talk about Nightblood and Vivenna's sword. So worry not. But that's all of the spicy words of Brandon. You can go to Arcanum. wob.coppermine.net. So
this is not
wob.coppermine.net.
This is not all of the wobs. This was just the ones that we liked.
There's a lot of them. I don't think you want this podcast to just be interpreting these. Well, that would be very easy.
Yeah.
We could do that. But yeah. So now
guess what time it is, guys?
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
I'm so excited.
Woo! Play the jingle.
And this time, Ian's gonna do one.
Yes.
Okay. So, this character has a secret.
Silence Montaigne.
I'm gonna say Kelsier, just because it's the obvious one.
I was gonna say that.
No.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's not, because that would be...
Yes. Okay. Next clue. This person is a noble.
Felt.
No.
Oh, this was
I refuse to say Aeonic names correctly. Don't judge me. But, Keen, Serene's uncle.
Okay. No. Okay. This character is a magic user.
Oh god. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well.
Right. So we've got quite. Okay. So he said
it's not Kelsier. We know it's not Kelsier.
The noble part makes me think Scadriel, but noble could mean a lot of things. Like.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say Marsh.
No.
It's the other. It's the other side of the coin for Kelsier.
Somewhere else. That's not Scadriel.
Yeah, I am agreeing it's not Scadriel because I think that would be too obvious.
No, I know who. I know who. Sean Alariel.
Oh my god, yes.
I was actually thinking that. I was like, Sean Alariel, but I'm like, but she's like dead. Does she still have a secret?
Next clue. This character is dead.
Yeah.
The last clue. This character was engaged to a major character.
I probably would have gotten it at dead.
See, Matt, you and I, like, if we don't get Era 1 Mistborn stuff, this is really bad. You know, we gotta get the Era 1 Mistborn stuff correct.
I was gonna guess Shani Lariel, but I psyched myself out about it.
Oh yes,
and it's can't be. I was panicking when I realized you were going to be on this episode. It's like, oh my god, Matt, like this is an Ilariel. Like, oh my god.
I know, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
I have control searched Mistborn for Ilariels many times.
We need more Ilariels in Era 2, I think. Cool. Should we do another one?
Yeah, I was going to say for the second one, we'll have our first community suggested one.
Ooh.
So yeah, this one was suggested by Grace. And are you guys ready?
Yes.
Cool. She's the Gator Girl. She's Coppermine staff. So she wanted to stump us. So great.
Yes, here's a good one. Okay.
Okay.
So, right. Clue number 1. This character is a Scar.
Ooh, all right. Sweet, more Era 1 stuff. Yay.
So we're narrowed in.
Not Sean Lariel.
On which world? Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's a full Ska or a half-breed. Like, this is an important question.
I'm gonna... Can I do a guess?
Absolutely.
Yeah, every clue you get to do a guess.
Can I look up a name? Because I know the character, I just forget the name. Is that cheating?
Things, I'm like, ooh.
We only have one clue.
I'm going to guess Menace. Like, I think it's...
Okay, that's who I was gonna...
Oh, okay.
That's who I was gonna guess.
It is not them. Who was that again?
Okay.
It's like, in the prologue of the Final Empire, it's the old man.
Oh, really?
And then, he shows up later in the caverns.
With the refugees.
It is not that character. Okay.
I haven't done my guess for clue 1. I'm going to say Eden.
It is not Eden. Okay.
We're a prominent Ska. All right.
Clue number 2. This character dies. So this is a Ska who dies.
Is it... Oh, again, I don't know the name, but my guess is the Ska girl from the prologue who... the Lord at the beginning...
No, her name was
no,
Jess.
She gets away.
No, she does get away.
She gets away.
She does get away.
And she
I'm
gets
going
away.
to guess
Never
Reen,
mind.
Vin's brother.
Ooh.
It is not Reen.
Oh, I gotta dig deeper. Let's say Quellion.
It is not Quellion.
AKA Quentin.
Yeah.
It's not Mare, is it?
And it is not Mare. Right.
Okay.
That's the 3 guesses. So clue number 3.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
This character becomes a member of Ellen's army.
Oh. It's that, isn't it the
Goradel?
guard?
Goradel?
No.
It is not Goradel.
No.
Oh, Goradel might not be Ska.
It's the guy who punches Demo.
Oh!
I'm going to need a name.
Bilg?
Yes.
There's two different names.
There's
2 different names.
Eric has it.
He has 2 different names.
Yes, the next clue actually was...
I think they fixed it.
This character was named Brill in a typo.
That's right.
And
there we go.
Yeah, the last clue was this character had his arm broken after losing a fight to Demu. So, yeah.
There we go.
Eric, you're on point with these. I think you've won almost every single one, haven't you?
I've never been stumped. I mean,
I've won some.
I think you won one, Ian. I think you won the first.
No, I've won multiples.
Here's the thing. We on this podcast, we have not been stumped yet.
Yes.
So mission accomplished. Except you saying Dromanod.
Yeah, last week wasn't a high point for who's that Cosmere character.
So if you guys want to send in and try to stump us, send in 5 clues to who's that Cosmere character at gmail.com. Crap, I forgot to put that in the liner notes for the last one. I'll put it in the one for this one.
We should also post that screenshot of Jebus's bet in the liner notes.
Oh yeah, that's important. I'll just link directly to that word of Brandon in the liner notes, just so everyone knows. All of you guys listening, you keep him accountable for that.
Oh man,
Gotta find a gummy shoe.
I'm gonna find a gummy shoe. I'm thinking a cake because you can get cakes in certain shapes. So I'm thinking a cake, maybe.
Make a custom cake-shaped shoe.
Yeah.
Go to a bakery.
Yeah.
I need a cake that is shaped as a shoe.
Yeah.
Just
actually, wait, no, that is correct. Okay.
Initially, my idea was I was going to do some shoe pastry, but that's a French pastry type. If you didn't know,
we're Americans. We don't know these things. Matt might know. He's Canadian.
There you go.
He has more of a connection to France due to Quebec.
Yeah.
It's not
I've never
much,
been to
but
Quebec, so
that connection, it connects with your nationality, and Quebec is connected with that, and everything's connected
to the spiritual realm.
So you're connected
and then
to
the future
France.
and the past.
So you're French now.
So you're French.
Wow, guys! I suddenly hate Matt.
Wow.
That went far.
5 dislikes coming in now. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, just what would you wouldn't, it's not racism. Somethingism. Frenchism.
I was about to say they're only French, but then that might have been worse.
I think there actually is a word for I've heard before that's like hatred of like French language and culture.
Wow. Let's look this up.
Francophobe.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to say we cut this, but
no. This it's staying in.
It's just Euro banter.
It's
that's all it is.
Francophobia.
Nah,
You're such a.
It's Euro banter. Euro banter. You Americans don't understand.
Yes. Yeah, just on the continent, you know.
We can't get into Eurovision. Like.
Exactly.
All of this is just lost on us.
All right, guys, we're wrapping up this podcast. Feel free to like, subscribe, follow us on 17shard.com, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, on all the things, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Call.